Okay, so we have 17 minutes and 45 seconds to roll through a lot of really interesting data. So I think we're just going to do it. Just to set the context, what we did was kind of partnered with the Startupfest peeps, Hockey Stick, to come together to do a quick survey of founders who have gone through an accelerator program in Canada to get a sense of their thoughts, their feelings, their expectations, and what delivered.
Yeah, and we also had a control group of some people who haven't gone through an accelerator, either wasn't the right fit for them, or they haven't yet, but maybe they're going to be applying. So I think it's going to be a really cool survey.
Yeah, so it was about a series of 15 questions. We're going to have the full report and information on BetaKit later this week. What we're going through right now is the 4 or 5 things that we thought stood out that goes against the grain of expectations that should spur some conversation this week at Startupfest that we could do in 16 minutes and 48 seconds. So let's do this.
Let's get started. So here's just as Douglas said, there's around 15 questions, really running the gamut of what we thought that people care about in accelerators. Pitch prep, funding, mentoring, space, all, really it's kind of like a satisfaction survey. We're asking people, please rate your overall satisfaction with these different criteria between 1 and 5, and then a few other kind of open-ended questions. Want to just jump right into it?
Yeah, let's do it. So next slide. So this is some of the stuff that what maybe you think performed to expectations. So almost 80% of the people said they would recommend their accelerator. Positively, there was actually job growth coming post-graduation. So 270% generally satisfied or got what they expected on average.
Yeah, so when I looked at this data, I said, it's a solid B plus, and I don't think that that's a negative at all. I think that, everyone who's run an accelerator, myself included, we all think our accelerator is A plus, and I'm sure there's lots of A pluses out there. But I think it's partly more the distribution of data.
Yeah.
And I think my instinct was Canadian accelerators are doing a great job, and I think that's what I see in the numbers.
Or are they? No. So I think what we're going to dig into next is the outliers that really move the dial for that 3 to 5 on either the plus or the minus side. Although one thing we should call out is as you might expect, the pitch prep and the networking and introductions were highly important.
Yeah, we saw a lot of comments. Some kind of funny that the pitch prep was extremely intense. In a positive way, I think that people, most entrepreneurs don't really know how to pitch. I think everyone knows that, and the entrepreneurs themselves. So I think people were getting a lot of value out of being sometimes kind of beaten into submission on their pitch deck. I wasn't looking at you, Sylvain, just you're in my line of sight. So let's go on to some of the actual the outliers, I guess the first one is for me it was a bit of an outlier because back when I was running Year 1 Labs, we didn't really give any thought to space, and I thought that we've all graduated from space being important. The data actually says that both people who haven't participated and those who have actually really value the space. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think so. This might be one where you're saying, well, look, obviously space is important, but I think the contrast here is in how these programs are being marketed, where maybe the baseline expectation is like, of course we need space, but our program's about the things that happen in the space or what goes beyond, where not only the grads but the people who have not been in the program, they're really looking for the space. And that I think as an early stage company, a lot of that can be you need a place to go work and build a team. I always think of the Mike Kirkup rule, former director of University of Waterloo's philosophy program, who says the best place to put an early stage company is right beside a similar company that's 6 months ahead, so they can grow and learn. So I think we might be taking for granted the importance of the space, but also space should be part of it should be part of the programming, not just a logistical thing.
Yeah, that's what the data says for sure. Let's talk about demo day. I think this one was maybe is kind of interesting because on the one hand, most people were satisfied with demo day, and that's probably not surprising. But I think it's interesting that how many people, we looked at the data, a lot of people said they were satisfied. Very few people said they were very satisfied. And by the way, I should clarify, it's demo day and follow-on funding.
Yeah.
So The way I interpret this is that I think a lot of people in the room are having discussions around the value of demo day and what kind of demo day they're having, and maybe replacing some or all of demo day with a roadshow or other kinds of things that could lead to follow-on funding. But this was a little bit surprising to me.
Yeah, so you can see kind of the anonymized comment on there being like, one program in Canada broke out the super big demo day to do the roadshow and it provided more value. I think that really leads to an important conversation on activity versus impact. I think a lot of accelerator programs invest in their demo day as a showcase, but there are two things that founders need from a demo day. They either need a big check for winning the demo day, or they need potential customers in the room. So all of that relates back to money. So if the activity is all being built around being a showcase for the pitch prep, I think a lot of that activity could be refocused towards something that drives more impact.
I mean, on the other hand, I agree with you, but maybe another thing that this is saying is that, even if that demo day doesn't lead to a big fat check, maybe it's a kind of a pin on the calendar. It's some kind of goal that's a motivating goal for those entrepreneurs. Even the ones who ultimately don't really succeed with their business, maybe that it reflects kind of the, ambivalence towards what is the real goal of demo day? I didn't really raise money, but if I didn't have demo day, maybe I wouldn't have been as motivated to work hard and get my product pitched done.
It's definitely a combination, but I think, I'm sure a lot of people were at the Founder Field demo day last night. If your demo day is more than just a gold star of completing the program, that's where you can be driving additional value. I think one thing we should call out, it's not on the slide, it'll be in the report. In addition to the 42% who said they were satisfied, there was as many people in the survey who had a negative experience as a overtly positive experience with the demo day, and I think that relates to the fact that it's related to the follow-on funding and beyond the pitch prep kind of thing.
Yeah. The reality is not every company gets funding, not every company should get funding, so some of that might reflect that. But I think just to close this off, I think there's more to be discussed around the role and the structure of demo day. So that's something that for all of you running accelerators, definitely, that's a takeaway to think about.
Show of hands, how many people here were at the Founder Field demo day last night? How good was the beatboxing? That was pretty cool. Show of hands. Okay.
All right. So why don't you start with this one?
Yeah, okay. So this is where we're getting... This is very interesting, and I think everyone should be paying attention to this. Again, to maybe set this up, by no means is this survey feature complete with the data. It's an opportunity to kick off a conversation that you can carry through the week and through your program, but I really think you should start paying attention right now. On the mentorship and education, less than 1/3 of the people surveyed were less than satisfied with the mentorship and the education. That's putting it in contrast with the 95% of people who were surveyed who haven't gone through a program rating this as extremely important. So there's a huge disconnect between people going into these programs and what they're getting. And I have as someone who mentored on a train to Montreal yesterday, I have a lot of thoughts about this, but maybe we'll go to you and talk about the data a little bit more.
Yeah, I think, as Douglas was saying, there is a gap between perception and reality. The reason I think this really stands out as an area of concern for people running accelerators is that it's just how much emphasis mentorship is as part of the marketing and kind of promotion of why come to my accelerator. We've got these amazing mentors. That's going to be a big part. You're going to be assigned a mentor. And I think part of what's happening is that, in a lot of programs, the mentor cohort is established before the entrepreneurs are accepted. You kind of have to, because otherwise you're scrambling. But where that, we saw some of this in the comments, where some of the entrepreneurs were saying, well, geez, I'm an ed tech company. There wasn't a single ed tech mentor. And so I didn't, I've got this great group of mentors, but I didn't really get what I wanted to get out of my particular vertical space. I think partly that's what's happening.
So maybe the right mentors at the wrong time. I will say, at BetaKit 150 a few weeks ago, I had a great conversation with Harley Finkelstein of Shopify about the value of mentorship. As someone who is by no means a success in any way, but is going through the grind of building a company, I personally believe that giving back with your time and your attention, anyone you can help, even talk through your experiences so they can better learn, is very important. So I don't want you to think I'm dismissing the value of mentorship, but as someone who's participated in pre-accelerator programs, accelerator programs, been asked to be a mentor, I think there's that scrambling issue is, these people are trying to pull together, I know X at this company, they're really smart, they're really funny, I've had a few drinks with them, can you be a mentor? Can this person be a mentor? And you're cobbling together a group of people that you think are probably smart and saying yes. What's the curriculum? Are they prepared? Are they the right people at the right time? And then a follow-up, why are they saying yes? Because I've also participated in programs where it seems like a lot of the mentors are there to vent the steam of their own business onto young founders. I participated in, the first pitch week is the bloodening, where they're just really digging in and ripping a company to shreds, and there can be some value to that. But I think in the comments that we saw with the survey, which we're not going to publish because it should be anonymous, there's a lot of statements of, was this for me or was this for them? And I think every program in Canada should take a good long look about who they're asking and why they're asking and how they're asking.
Yeah, and let's just be honest. The mentorship is hard. It's really hard to, put people together and expect the skills and the chemistry and the trust to develop. And really, it's a short amount of time. I mean, at Hockey Stick, we've through one of our clients, we've got about 1,500 mentor relationships we track, and I will tell you that it is very hard to curate that and make it work scientifically. So it is hard. I think that what this is saying is, there's more work to be done, and it's easy for us to sit up here and say that, but it is a very difficult thing to get right. I think a lot of the comments are saying, it needs to be better, and I think that we've made some suggestions for maybe how to make that happen.
And just even more curated and thoughtful. Just showing up isn't enough. It's a good first step, but there should be more.
Totally agree.
And then when tying this into the next slide, I think there's a direct correlation to, again, setting all this up about the experience and the expectations of these programs. You want to walk through this, and I can.
Yeah, sure. This is another one that actually was quite on the leaning towards quite heavily on the negative side. A lot of people said that, hey, since I graduated, it's this quote. It's like I never existed. And I understand that it's as hard as it is to run a mentorship program, it's just as hard or more difficult to run an alumni program, to get people who've already flown the coop to want to be engaged. But I think it's a missed opportunity that just because somebody graduated from your program doesn't mean they're part of your alumni network. For them to be really actively engaged, I think is a very difficult thing. But what the data is saying is that people want that. Yeah. They really, during the period where they're either growing like a hockey stick curve, hopefully, or they're shrinking and they're going out of business and they're struggling, this is when the alumni network can really help them.
Well, not only do they want it, they're obviously very happy with how it's going to date. This was only one of 3 categories, or questions, I guess, with a majority negative rating on the survey of 15 questions. The other 2 being business planning, which we could do a whole other session on that, and then HR and legal services. So this is a big issue. Tying this into maybe in terms of a positive, we talked off the top about how introductions, networking, connections were extremely highly rated in importance and experience, up to 80%. There's a huge opportunity with your alumni networks to continue that process and not be just looking at the new cohort coming in.
Yeah, I think when I looked at that, how positive the kind of introductions networking was kind of in the program versus after, it tells me that accelerators are really good at, being a magnet for talent and clients and investors and making those intros while people are in front of them, while they're in the program. Yeah. So I think there's an opportunity to continue that. And I think that it also speaks to the fact that probably when entrepreneurs enter the program, they're kind of flooded with intros and it's amazing. And at a certain point, they probably get a bit overwhelmed coming into demo day. But after they graduate, and when they're actually dealing with real business issues, that's when they're saying, okay, great, I've gone through this program, I've built my network. But now I want to be more selective because I now know more of what I need, but I don't have access to those people.
Yeah, like the graduation isn't the end of this process, it's actually the beginning. So approaching it that way could make it incredibly valuable. One thing I want to just maybe talk to, just throw this as an idea, because somehow we did this with 3 extra minutes, so let's vamp. Do you think that just because of where Canada as an ecosystem is in terms of its development with a lot of these accelerator programs, they maybe don't have the critical mass of alumni where there are maybe superstar companies in the alumni that can then serve as leaders? Because I always think about like, and this is a little bit of a different organization, but I think of C100 and the high-profile people that they have there and their interest in giving back. And it's probably not every accelerator program across Canada has like a Shopify or other people on their board that are actively giving back. And maybe that could be an inflection point in terms of developing great alumni programs because you have these visible wins.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if you're running your accelerator program for the first time, how can you have an alumni network? But I think that, Canada-wide, I don't think that that's an issue. I mean, there's so many successful, graduates who've gone through accelerator programs, and being a successful graduate and being able to participate in this alumni network doesn't mean that your company was a success. It doesn't mean that you became a Shopify or a Hubba or something like that. It just means that you got something out of this program and you want to give back. So I think that it's not just to shine the light just on people running accelerators. We should be challenging people. Hey, if you went through an accelerator and sure, maybe your company didn't work out, but you became a free electron and you joined another company, and you have a lot to contribute back to not only your accelerator but the whole ecosystem. And maybe some of it is a little bit of as entrepreneurs, one thing very few people talk about is the feeling of shame if your company doesn't work out. And maybe people feel like, oh man, I wasn't one of those 2 or 3 that really succeeded. What do I have to offer? I think we need to get people over that hump because everyone has a lot to offer.
Yeah, even if your alumni program is a support group of people who are not doing so well afterwards, that is a value add because this stuff is extremely hard.
Oh yeah, I mean, otherwise it wouldn't be fun, right? So.
Sure. Okay, let's go to the call to action slide. Boom. So later this week, before Friday, we will have the full report and a breakdown available for you to read and go through. There's a lot of data that we didn't touch upon, so look forward to that. We're going to tweet it out. If you want to tweet at us, there's a few handles and a hashtag that you can hit us up at, and we'd love to continue the conversation throughout the week.
Yeah, and this is something that our goal this year was to kick off the conversation. I hope we've done that. As Douglas said, we're going to release the full report. But please do reach out to us because this is just the beginning. I think there's a lot more we can do about data in this whole ecosystem, not just with accelerators, but for everything we're doing in innovation. So don't be shy to come chat with us after, and we'd love to hear what your thoughts are.
Yeah, get involved because if you're not acting on data, you're acting on opinion.
We are so good on time. Congratulations.
Crush that. Thank you.
All right, good job. Thank you.